Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Here's a video I didn't intend to make quite so soon, but with the rollout of 6.2 and the improvement in jet gameplay, I feel we need it. I'm here to promote the Wildcats. Make sure you pick Crawford for the good voice lines. The Wildcat has absolutely amazing gameplay and also some of the best cinematic moments in the game, like jets crashing into you when you're fighting them. But they also bring massive utility, especially since the jet improvements have come out. Specifically the improved aim with the crosshair assist and also some of the changes to the rocket pods. So I want to do two things in this video. One, encourage as many people as possible to pick up the Wildcat and start using it in an AA role. And two, share everything I've managed to teach myself, what I've managed to learn in using the Wildcats, and pass it on, and hopefully start a conversation so we can share some tips and make each other better. That's it. That's what we're after. So in terms of the structure of the video, in part one, I'd like to talk about the loadout and the primary weapon, specifically focusing on the 30 and the 35mm. I'll handle the 40 separately. In sections 2 and 3, just talk about how to handle jet attacks when they're head-on, versus when you have the opportunity to get the jet from the side, which is what you should be looking for. In part 4, I just want to share a few general gameplay tips, and I'd love if there's anything you guys can add to this if I've missed it. In parts 5 and 6, talk about the anti-air and the anti-tank missiles respectively. And then finally in part 7, for a big chunk of this video, let the camera roll and show some honest gameplay, where hopefully you're going to see everything we've talked about coming together, and by the end of it, I will have convinced you to play in the Wildcat if it's something you haven't really been doing up till now. The last thing I would just like to say in this introduction is if you're a Wildcat player who's been using the 40mm, please may I ask you to give this video your consideration. We desperately need Wildcats doing what they're meant to be doing, which is targeting air vehicles. There's plenty of ways to fight on the ground without the 40mm. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, so the Wildcat has two primary anti-air weapons and one non-anti-air. The 30mm rounds are high velocity with no projectile drop but do less damage, whereas the 35mm rounds do more damage but are much slower rounds and have a very clear projectile drop which you're going to need to account for. I would say the 30mm are easier for a beginner, but there's no wrong answer here. Beyond that, you have anti-air and anti-tank missiles as per other vehicles. So here's a very quick demo of the two cannons. This is the 35mm, and as you can see, I have to lead the shot quite a lot and account for the projectile drop if I want to hit this target. You'll also notice the frequent breaks in firing I make to account for overheat.
I love it!
And this is a 30mm. As you'll see, I'm having absolutely no problem hitting the target. The projectiles are moving very quickly with no drop, just doing less damage. Going forward in each section of the video, I'll show footage using the 30mm and the 35mm to help you make your decision. Okay, so the one universal truth is that jets are going to try and kill you from a distance, and they're going to fly straight at you, and then they're going to do it in one of two ways. The first is the rocket pod.
We're doing this!
The second way they're going to try it on is using AGM missiles on you. Now, unlike the rocket pods, the Hydra Pods, which give you no warning that the shot is coming, AGMs give you a lovely 2-second lock-on warning, so you have a chance to use your mitigations against them. The downside is, you can't see a damn thing once you've popped it and the jet will get away. Now if a jet with rocket pods is targeting you, you have no choice but to play. It's their decision to attack you. So what you should do is face the front of your vehicle towards them if you can, so you have the thickest possible armor, open up as soon as you credibly can, disrupt their run by hitting your shots and pull them down before they pull you down. If the jet's using an AGM and you're on full health, you have the choice to soak the hit. Don't use the smoke so you don't blind yourself.
Fuck it!
Completely leave it up to you if you want to take the risk, but the trade has worked for me so far. If the 35mm can get the jet head on, it just melts. Typical, but whether you're using the 30mm or the 35mm, as long as you open up nice and early, a jet flying at you is marked for death.
With the Boris.
This is probably a good time to mention why I don't like using AAs. I'll do a section on it later. But when you try to lock on with a missile, as you see, it takes about 2.5 seconds to do so, and second, the pilot will just run away when they realize they've been spotted.
Request received. Vehicle is en route.
Lost opportunity. Now the preferred way to down a jet is to get them slightly from the side when you're not actually primary target. Get them on the flyby.
Hostile aircraft spotted!
The 30mm only needs a slight lead to hit the target. When you're not the target, you can afford to wait a little bit and let the jet get closer before you commit, so it's too late for them to pull away.
Viatico!
Now, as you'd expect, having watched the intro, hitting a jet flying by with a 35 gets more difficult the farther away it is, but it's really not that hard, and I'm actually really coming around to the 35. A missile caught that one there. Let's take a look at a jet getting hit by a 35 with a clean bill of health, see what it does.
Tank going up a hill.
Not bad at all. Okay, so just a few tips here that don't necessarily relate to shooting something. First of all, you're no good to anybody if you're dead, and you need to stay mindful of what's happening on the ground. For instance, if you can see that you just got locked by an infantry player on the left-hand side, and you've just used your thermal smoke, where's your cover? What's your plan for the inevitable second shot? Remember, rockets almost never come in one, so when you see you've either been hit or you're being locked from a particular side, know where you're going to go to cover to protect yourself. Equally, when you're capturing objectives, if it gets a little bit too hot, know when to cut your losses and get out of there. Save the vehicle. You're no good to anybody dead.
There's a bunch of engineers.
Finally, remember to look down from time to time and check for C5AT mine players trying to pull you down. It's all too easy to forget about this when you got your eyes fixed on the sky, so just a friendly reminder.
I see it.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Right, now this brings us to the anti-air missile, and I'll be as impartial as I can even though I favor AT. Now, obviously everybody gets lucky with an AA. You target a vehicle that's already flared and you take him down, but really there's two skill-based use cases. One is to force an opportunity for another teammate by forcing a vehicle to flare, or two, as you're seeing here, not being impolite, just being able to down the pilot that's still learning.
This is good!
An experienced player would not have hovered in the middle of the map like that. Here is what more experienced pilots do when they realize they're being targeted. They flare, and they get the hell out of there before you can kill them. Now on this one here, I just wanted to apply a little bit of pressure to a jet that was chasing my teammate. Turns out I got lucky, they had no flares. But here's a scenario I was really lucky to get on camera. So, this jet comes overhead, I invest the time up front to lock on instead of firing my cannons, there goes the missile, they flare, and now I have to try and catch them before they get away. Only just. Now, let's try it with only guns. You see what I'm saying? There's absolutely no need for the missile. As mentioned, a middling to good pilot who knows what they're being locked onto is going to pop their flare and get away. But there is an advantage to that. I have no idea who this attack helicopter was firing at, but I probably saved them, and I forced the attack helicopter to retreat. And that is actually worth something. So you don't have to get the kill to be considered useful. The final reason why I don't like the AA missiles is, such as here with a stealth helicopter in stealth mode, or a jet passing low below radar, there are many situations where you can't actually even get a lock with the missile. And good pilots are going to take advantage of that. But up to you. They're not bad. Just not what I'd pick. Okay, this brings us to the final and most important section before we get to the gameplay. I have tried very hard to put myself in the mind of somebody who would pick the 40mm for a Wildcat. And the only reason I can come up with is that you actually plan on attacking vehicles. Firstly, I respectfully think that's a bad strategy. You should be attacking aircraft. Second, it's not necessary. So in these opening clips here, you're going to see that I'm attacking Wildcats, and by having the AT missiles, and also keeping the damage up with the primary weapons, I'm actually able to take them down, particularly if they haven't equipped AT weapons themselves. There is absolutely no need to have a 40mm cannon to win the fight. Or to kill infantry. One thing I have found is more often than not, Wildcats tend to want to occupy the same space, so you get in a lot of Wildcat on Wildcat fights, which is why it's really good to have the AT missiles on you. It gives you the edge. If you see a tank, join in if it's not a head-to-head fight. You can really help out your team or even steal the kill. A 40mm will make zero difference in a head-to-head tank fight. The only way you win is by surprise.
We've lost control of Alpha 2.
Come back to the stealth chopper.
Keeping your eyes open as you move around the map for the cheeky shot is really helpful for the team.
Hostile vehicle down!
As outlined in the opening sections in the AA missile section, I really don't feel having the AA missile makes a massive difference to my ability to accomplish the primary objective of downing aircraft, but having the AT missile allows me to weigh in and help in the ground battle, defend myself, and actually make a really positive contribution as I move around the map looking for the AA shots. AA or AT, I leave it up to you, but please, never give up your ability to shoot the jets.
Super!
And that brings us to 2 rounds of very honest gameplay for the rest of the video, short of a little message at the end. So I've just managed to get my Wildcat, we're rolling into the map, it's not quite the start of the round, let's see what we can do. We open up by seeing my buddy getting chased by 2 enemy jets. Okay, 1 down, but the second jet's about to come in for an AGM head-to-head strike. So using the thermal smoke, I lost line of sight and they've escaped, but now I'm going to turn around and try and chase them down and box them into that part of the map so they can't get away.
We're doing this!
Excellent, both jets destroyed. Now, I see through my lock-on with the AT missiles that there's something camping on the back line. I think it's a Wildcat, but there are other vehicles that camp. This probably wasn't my best decision. Okay, so it's a railgun. I've landed a missile, they missed the opening shot, and I decided to rush in and try and hug it, because it takes a long time for them to charge their shot. They rammed me, and I'd say at this point we're pretty committed to the fight, so best efforts. I said honest gameplay, I didn't say it was always good. I was very lucky to get away with that. Anyway, I'm very deep into the enemy's health and I'm about to leave when suddenly I see a soft lam opportunity.
Nice work!
Pure opportunism riding on the back of someone else's work. Thank you whoever set that up. Right, short time skip. As you can see, I've pulled back to the center of the map. The jets are back in the sky, so we're back into jet hunting again. I was content to pick away from a distance and try and create an opportunity for my jets to get the kill, but it looks like that's not happening, so I decided to relocate and try and get closer so I can actually get the kills. I know I'm being hit from the right, but I've got a jet coming straight at me. So we're not doing bad on our little Wildcat so far. That's 4 jets, 1 Hind, 1 Hokum and a railgun. Just clean up some infantry and then the next contender is going to be coming to try to take me out. It's an attack helicopter. All I can do is pray that they're not a very good shot or someone's going to help me. Thankfully that pilot was still learning the ropes. Anyway, I'd say it's about this point that the jet pilots got pissed off with me. So I decided it's time to maybe make myself scarce, head to the ice structures to block line of sight for the AGMs and also get some cover from the Hydra Pods. Jet missed my back. I get a couple hits in, but there's no way I'm going to down them. Just put some pressure on them. And at this point, we get our first flying squirrel coming to kill me. When you see them, it's time to run. Get the hell out of there. Thankfully, my teammate saved me. Another Jet's coming at me head on with the Hydra Pods, so put my strongest armor facing forward and just burn them down before they get me. And with their death, that is 5 Jets, 2 attack helicopters, 1 Hind, and 1 railgun. Not bad at all for a little Wildcat, and a lot of fun too. Okay, this round was different because even though I didn't want to, I got dragged into a lot of ground fights, and it really shows off the AT. So straight away out the spawn, ran straight into a tank.
Don't stop them. They'll take every sector. Oh, magic!
Very lucky that it didn't see me and it turned its back, otherwise that would have been the shortest spawn in history. But heading into the middle to look for Jets, another problem, another battle tank.
Allied forces.
You can see their APS is up, so hold the shot and use the little mound there for cover from any further tank shots. Let's take the high ground and see if we can put some pressure on. Alright, nice, we got him. Someone else finished it, but I did the work, so I'm going to claim that. So finally we're in the middle of the map, and we can get to the business of checking the skies for aircraft, which is what we're supposed to be doing.
They're done. Vehicle disabled.
Lovely little 1-2 on the Jet and the stealth helicopter, and just when you thought it couldn't get any better, they throw in dessert for me. Here comes a Wildcat that hasn't seen me.
Hostile destroyed.
Clearly arrived on the tail end of a fight there, and they didn't have any thermal, so they're down. I decide to try and hold the center ground, but as I'm scanning the skies, you'll see that I very quickly notice there's a puff of smoke that just came up. Alright, it's something. Let's go figure out what we've got. Another battle tank and a very bad start. Their APS blocked my missile and they just hit me straight in the face, but at least it was the front armor, so we're alright. But now that I know that they've spent their APS and they're quite a long way away from me, I decide to continue poking to try and help out my team. I have no expectation of getting a kill here. I'm just trying to help whoever else is down there around A1. Turns out, an AC just arrived above me. So, not really doing what I intended to be doing. I'm getting dragged into a lot more ground fights, which is why I wanted to show you this one. But it occurs to me that the Wildcat's going to be turning up any second now, and I'm worried about our AC. So I decide to sprint to the back line and try and cut off their Wildcat before it comes out.
Good stuff. Good fucking stuff.
And just when you thought you couldn't possibly get any luckier,
Yes.
the Hokum pilot was far too close before they shot at me. They completely messed it up, and now we get one last final cookie. So that's 3 tanks, 2 Wildcats, a Jet, a stealth helicopter, and an attack helicopter. Not what I intended, but still pretty good. Anyway guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll outro with what I consider to be a funny. As I said in the video a couple weeks ago, my last Apache one, if a good pilot's got a Wildcat in his sight, it's done. And more often than not, something similar to this with the tow missiles slamming in, the 30mm and the 127s pouring down from heaven is how most of my Wildcat rounds end. That or some guy jumping on me with C5 or I run over an AT mine. But more often than not, it's the helicopter that gets me. Anyway, please feel free to laugh at my suffering on the way out. I also just want to say to anybody who's made it all the way to the end, well, I want to say to everybody, but if you made it to the end, you're the ones who are going to hear it. Merry Christmas. Have an excellent New Year. I'm definitely not going to be putting out another video before 2024, so have a fantastic one. Thank you everybody for watching this one to the end. Happy wildcatting. Have a great holiday. Catch you later. Bye-bye.